For privacy reasons, names and places have been changed. This story is inspired by true events.
On a frigid day in April 2000, 38-year-old Victor Nowak commenced his ambitious solo crossing of the Canadian high Arctic pack ice from a remote staging camp. He never completed his journey. Despite a desperate, weather-hampered search operation, Nowak vanished without a trace. His satellite beacon silenced mid-ping during a violent whiteout. For 20 years, the polar community and his loved ones lived with agonizing uncertainty, haunted by the vast, unforgiving emptiness. Then, in the summer of 2020, a remarkable discovery was made. A half-buried pulk, its traces snapped, encased in glacial blue ice on the Queen Maud Gulf. This is the complete investigation into what happened to Victor Nowak and the chilling truths buried beneath the Arctic ice. Before we continue, let us know where you're watching from, and if you enjoy this content, consider liking and subscribing to our channel. Now, let's continue. In the year 2000, the vast silent expanse of the Canadian high Arctic beckoned Victor Nowak, a 38-year-old solo polar skier whose ambition was as boundless as the frozen landscape he sought to traverse. Nowak was not merely an adventurer, he was a seasoned expert. His reputation forged in years of meticulously planned and executed expeditions across some of the planet's most formidable ice sheets. His latest undertaking, a solo crossing of the Queen Maud Gulf pack ice, represented the pinnacle of his career, a challenge demanding unparalleled physical endurance, navigational prowess, and an unwavering mental fortitude. The preparation for such an endeavor was exhaustive, spanning years of training, equipment refinement, and route planning. Every contingency was considered, every piece of gear tested, every potential risk assessed. Yet the Arctic remained an environment of profound unpredictability, a realm where human preparation, however meticulous, could only ever offer a fragile shield against the raw power of nature. Nowak understood these risks implicitly, accepting them as an inherent part of the allure that drew him repeatedly to the world's frozen extremes. His journey commenced with the characteristic precision of a seasoned explorer. Daily satellite pings marked his steady progress, each signal a testament to his determination as he pushed deeper into the remote, featureless icescape. Then, on a day marked by an abrupt and severe shift in weather, the final known communication was transmitted. A satellite ping registered his position mid-crossing, deep within the Queen Maud Gulf pack ice, before abruptly failing. At the precise moment of this last, tenuous signal, a debilitating whiteout descended upon the region. The phenomenon, where a seamless blanket of cloud cover merges with the snow-covered ground, obliterates the horizon and eliminates all visual cues. Visibility plummeted to mere feet, rendering orientation impossible and transforming the already hostile environment into a blinding, disorienting void. In such conditions, the very act of standing still was perilous. Movement carried an even greater risk. Following that final, faint ping, the Arctic fell silent. No further signals were received. The sophisticated tracking systems designed to monitor Nowak's progress registered only an absence, a blank space where his vital data should have been. The sudden and complete lack of communication marked his official disappearance, plunging his fate into an immediate and profound mystery that would haunt those who knew him. Victor Nowak, a man who had dedicated his life to mastering the planet's frozen extremes, had simply vanished into the unforgiving white. The disappearance of Victor Nowak triggered an immediate and frantic search effort. Within hours of the last satellite ping, an international coalition of Arctic rescue agencies mobilized, deploying specialized aircraft and ground teams to the designated search area within the Queen Maud Gulf. The urgency was palpable. Every minute that passed in the extreme Arctic environment drastically reduced the chances of survival for anyone exposed to its elements. Leading the on-the-ground component was Noah Ikidluak, an Inuit search and rescue veteran whose life had been spent navigating and understanding the treacherous nuances of the high Arctic. Ikidluak's intimate knowledge of the ice, its currents, and its unpredictable temperament was invaluable, offering a crucial layer of expertise that no satellite data could replicate. He understood the subtle signs of impending danger and the almost invisible clues left behind in the vast white expanse, a skill honed over decades of living within this formidable landscape. Despite the swift response and the deployment of advanced tracking technology, the search efforts quickly encountered insurmountable obstacles. The Queen Maud Gulf pack ice, a dynamic and ever-shifting labyrinth of frozen water, presented a formidable challenge. The area was immense, a featureless panorama stretching hundreds of miles in every direction, offering no fixed landmarks or points of reference. Relentless Arctic weather, characterized by sudden blizzards, extreme cold that could freeze exposed skin in minutes, and recurring whiteouts, frequently grounded aircraft and severely hampered visibility for ground teams. The very surface of the ice was a living entity, constantly fracturing, ridging, and refreezing, capable of swallowing evidence without a trace, making any consistent search pattern almost impossible to maintain. For weeks, searchers scoured the designated zone, meticulously combing every accessible lead and pressure ridge, often battling against the very environment they were trying to penetrate. They looked for any sign, a discarded piece of equipment, a ski track, a telltale disturbance in the snow that might indicate a struggle or a fall. Yet, the Arctic yielded nothing. No trace of Victor Nowak, his pulk, or any of his specialized gear was ever found. No explanation for the abrupt failure of his satellite beacon emerged, leaving investigators with no starting point for a theory. As the days stretched into weeks and the harsh Arctic winter began to set in, the search, despite the best efforts and considerable resources, was gradually scaled back. The vastness and unforgiving nature of the environment had claimed another victim, leaving behind only profound silence. Victor Nowak's fate remained an unsolved mystery, a haunting unknown that settled heavily over the desolate landscape and the lives of those who had followed his ambitious journey. The immediate frantic search for Victor Nowak eventually yielded to the inexorable passage of time. Weeks bled into months, and months into years, until 2 decades had elapsed since the last faint satellite ping from the Queen Maud Gulf. The Arctic, a realm of ceaseless motion and profound stillness, had long since closed its grasp around the mystery of his disappearance. The initial urgency of the rescue mission faded into a somber memory, replaced by the chilling silence that only such a vast, indifferent wilderness can impose. The dynamic nature of the Arctic pack ice ensured that any potential trace of Victor Nowak would be relentlessly erased or buried. Ice floes, some the size of small cities, fractured and collided, their edges grinding against one another with immense force, creating towering pressure ridges and deep, often temporary, leads. Snowfall, often measured in feet, accumulated and drifted, sculpting the landscape anew with every storm. The very surface of the ocean, frozen solid for much of the year, was in a constant, slow-motion churn, driven by currents and winds. Over 20 years, an object resting on the ice surface could be carried hundreds of miles, submerged, crushed, or simply buried beneath layers of new ice and snow, making the prospect of discovery increasingly remote, almost infinitesimal. For those who had known Victor, or who had followed his ambitious journey, the absence of answers became a heavy burden. The human mind craves resolution, a definitive ending to a story, especially one involving a life lost. Without a body, without a single piece of evidence to explain the catastrophe, the questions endured, echoing through the years. Was it a crevasse? A polar bear attack? Did he succumb to the elements, lost and disoriented in the whiteout? Each possibility offered its own chilling scenario, yet none could be confirmed. This perpetual state of unknowing exacted a quiet toll, leaving an open wound where closure should have been. As the years accumulated, the hope of ever finding Victor Nowak, or even understanding his fate, diminished to a whisper. The initial search, once a focal point of international concern, receded into the annals of unsolved Arctic mysteries. His story, once a testament to human ambition, seemed destined to be swallowed whole by the ice, a cautionary tale whispered among explorers, a name almost forgotten by the wider world. The expectation settled, cold and hard, that Victor Nowak and the full truth of his final moments were forever lost to the unforgiving, beautiful expanse of the Canadian high Arctic. 2 decades had passed since the Arctic had swallowed Victor Nowak whole, his story relegated to the tragic annals of polar exploration. The world had moved on, the ice continued its relentless churn, and the hope of finding a trace had long since dwindled to nothing. Then in the summer of 2020, amidst the annual melt season in the Queen Maud Gulf, a routine aerial survey conducted by the Canadian Ice Service stumbled upon an anomaly. It was a faint, almost imperceptible shape, half buried in a vast expanse of ancient, sapphire-hued ice. What the survey team initially dismissed as an unusual ice formation soon revealed itself as something far more significant. Embedded within the crystalline depths, a distinct outline began to emerge. A pulk, a specialized sled used by polar explorers, its vibrant orange material faded but still recognizable. Crucially, its traces, the lines connecting it to a skier, were not merely broken but snapped with violent force, a silent testament to immense sudden stress. The sled was not simply resting on the ice, it was deeply encased, a fossil in blue ice, a testament to years, perhaps decades, of burial and refreezing. Recovery efforts were immediately dispatched. With meticulous care, the pulk was extracted from its icy tomb. Upon closer inspection, identifying marks confirmed its provenance. Etched into the side, barely visible beneath years of abrasion, was a unique serial number matching the inventory records of Victor Nowak's expedition. Further, a distinctive, custom-designed binding system, known to be a modification Nowak himself had engineered, cemented the identification. There could be no doubt this was Victor Nowak's pulk, the very sled he had been pulling on that fateful day 20 years prior. The discovery sent a ripple of both profound hope and chilling horror through the small community that remembered Nowak. After 2 decades of agonizing uncertainty, a tangible piece of the puzzle had emerged from the depths of the Arctic. It offered the thrilling prospect of finally understanding what had happened, of providing closure. Yet, the condition of the pulk, the violently snapped traces, and its deep encasement in the unyielding blue ice, painted a grim picture. This was not a story of a lost man simply succumbing to the cold. It was evidence of a catastrophic event, a sudden, violent end to an ambitious journey. The blue ice itself was a critical clue. Unlike fresh, white surface ice, blue ice forms under immense pressure, often from the slow compaction of snow, or the refreezing of meltwater in deep, stable cracks. Its presence indicated the pulk had been submerged, frozen solid, then slowly brought back to the surface over many years as the ice sheet itself shifted and melted. It suggested an incident that had not merely left the pulk on the surface, but had plunged it into the very heart of the frozen ocean, preserving it in a chilling time capsule for 2 decades, until the Arctic chose to surrender its secret. The extraction of Victor Nowak's pulk from its deep blue ice tomb was a delicate operation, requiring specialized equipment and an abundance of caution. Once freed, the sled was carefully transported to a research facility equipped for forensic analysis of Arctic artifacts. Initial examination confirmed the violence of the incident. The pulk itself bore significant stress fractures along its rigid frame, consistent with immense external pressure. Most critically, the custom-fabricated traces, designed to withstand extreme tension, were not merely broken, but had been violently snapped, their synthetic fibers frayed as if torn by an explosive force. This immediate evidence suggested a catastrophic event rather than a gradual failure or a simple misstep. To understand the context of this discovery, investigators turned to Freya Lindholm, a veteran ice pilot whose expertise lay in interpreting the complex, ever-shifting dynamics of the Canadian high Arctic pack ice. Lindholm meticulously analyzed satellite imagery and historical ice charts, tracing the migratory patterns of the Queen Maud Gulf ice sheet over the past 2 decades. Her analysis revealed that the specific area where the pulk was found was prone to intense pressure ridging and lead formation, especially during periods of rapid freezing and thawing. She could project the probable movement of the ice where the pulk had been embedded, offering crucial insight into the environment's forces. Complementing Lindholm's work was Professor Malik Okonkwo, a glaciologist renowned for his studies on ancient ice formations. Professor Okonkwo examined the blue ice encasing the pulk, determining its age and the conditions under which it had formed. He explained that blue ice often indicates areas of intense compression where air is forced out of the ice structure, or where meltwater has refrozen under significant pressure, suggesting the pulk had been caught in a powerful, localized event, then slowly subsumed and preserved. The density and purity of the ice confirmed a long period of burial, undisturbed by surface melt. Based on the preliminary findings, the severely damaged pulk, the violently snapped traces, and the glaciological evidence of intense pressure, investigators began to formulate initial theories. The damage strongly suggested a crushing event, perhaps the pulk being caught between two massive colliding ice flows, or forced into a deep, narrow lead that suddenly closed. The snapped traces indicated Victor himself would have been directly connected to this violent impact, experiencing the full force of whatever befell his sled. However, despite these compelling clues, the pulk offered only a partial answer. It confirmed a violent end to his equipment, but did not fully explain what happened to Victor Nowak himself. Was he still attached to the pulk when the incident occurred? Was he thrown clear, only to succumb to the elements? The exact nature of the accident, and Victor's ultimate fate, remained tantalizingly out of reach, a deeper mystery hidden within the recovered artifact. The pulk was a vital key, but the lock remained stubbornly shut. Despite meticulous analysis, the precise nature of Victor Nowak's final moments remained elusive. Evidence pointed to a violent incident, but the specific mechanics of the catastrophe were still obscured. The breakthrough arrived not from a new artifact, but from a novel application of existing technology: advanced melt-season imagery. While conventional satellite photos struggled with winter glare, the brief Arctic summer offered a crucial window where subtle topographical features hidden under fresh snow became visible. High-resolution imagery captured during this period revealed intricate details of the Queen Maud Gulf pack ice. Crucially, it exposed patterns of sastrugi-bridged leads. These wave-like snow formations, sculpted by wind over refrozen cracks, created subtle, elevated pathways. These specific formations correlated precisely with Victor Nowak's meticulously planned route, confirming his presence in an area known for dynamic ice movement. The imagery provided a crucial geographical anchor, pinpointing the exact section of his intended line where the incident occurred. Armed with this precise location and a deeper understanding of ice dynamics, the forensic team revisited the pulk, focusing on its subtle yet telling abrasion marks. Earlier examinations noted general damage, but a re-evaluation, informed by the new imagery, brought the marks into sharp focus. The scoring and gouging on the sled's composite shell were inconsistent with a vertical impact, such as a crevasse fall, which typically leaves linear scrapes. Instead, the pulk's marks indicated a crushing force, predominantly lateral and angled indentations and scrapes, suggesting a powerful horizontal squeeze. The fibers of the snapped traces also showed a shearing action, not a simple break from tension. This crucial distinction led to the definitive conclusion: the sled's abrasion marks indicated a pressure ridge crush rather than a crevasse fall. A pressure ridge forms when large ice flows collide, generating immense, irresistible power. Victor Nowak had not fallen into an abyss. He had been caught in a vise of shifting, grinding ice. This revelation allowed for a chilling reconstruction of his final moments. Trapped in the debilitating whiteout, navigating a sastrugi-bridged lead that offered a deceptively stable path, Victor was likely unaware of the immense forces converging around him. The ice, driven by unseen currents and winds, had suddenly converged, transforming his path into a deadly trap. The pulk, still attached to him, had been caught between two immense colliding ice masses, crushed with an instantaneous, overwhelming force that snapped its traces and entombed it, likely with Victor himself, within the rapidly shifting, unforgiving blue ice. The 20-year mystery had finally yielded its brutal truth. The intricate puzzle of Victor Nowak's disappearance, which had haunted the Arctic for 2 decades, was finally complete. The combined evidence from advanced melt-season imagery and the meticulous re-examination of his pulk's abrasion marks unequivocally revealed the brutal truth. Victor Nowak had been caught in a catastrophic pressure ridge crush. In the blinding whiteout as he navigated the sastrugi-bridged leads, the immense unseen forces of the Queen Maud Gulf pack ice converged with terrifying speed. 2 colossal ice flows, driven by relentless currents and winds, had collided, transforming his path into an inescapable vice. The Pulk, still tethered to him, bore the brunt of this instantaneous, overwhelming pressure, its traces snapping violently as the ice consumed it. Victor, likely still attached or in immediate proximity, would have been subjected to the same irresistible forces, his fate sealed in a moment of unimaginable power. While the definitive truth of what happened to Victor Nowak had been uncovered, his physical remains were never recovered. The very forces that entombed his Pulk in blue ice also ensured that his body would be subsumed by the dynamic, shifting Arctic, either pulverized by the crushing ice or carried away into the depths, destined to become an indelible part of the frozen landscape. Yet, with the mystery of his disappearance finally solved, a profound sense of closure settled over the case. The haunting unknown was replaced by a tragic but complete understanding. This resolution served as a stark, enduring reminder of the immense, uncontrollable power of the Arctic environment. Even the most seasoned and meticulously prepared explorers like Victor Nowak could be overwhelmed by its sudden, unpredictable forces. It underscored the fragile nature of human endeavor against a backdrop of raw, elemental might. The dedication of those who refused to let the case go cold, from the initial search efforts led by Noah Ikidluak to the scientific breakthroughs provided by Freya Lindholm and Professor Malik Okonkwo, highlighted the enduring human drive for answers. Their work demonstrated how advancements in technology and a persistent interdisciplinary approach could unlock truths from even the most challenging and remote environments. Ultimately, the story of Victor Nowak became a testament not only to the allure and danger of Arctic exploration, but also to the scientific resolve to understand its mysteries. It instilled a deeper respect for the unforgiving beauty of the high Arctic, a realm that, even in its most destructive moments, holds secrets for those patient and determined enough to listen to its silent, icy whispers.